Oy, 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 oy. Oy, da, 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 da. So today's a very special day. Elul. Tzaddikim states the chiyus of Elul. Word site of the Heilige Zayde, my holy ancestor, the Maral Prague. It's also the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh and of the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Baal Tanya. I was Zoyche when the Hasidic movement began, because it's the day when the Baal Shem Tov revealed the Hasidic movement on his 36th birthday. And so the holiness of this day was quite profound. But in particular, for me, I know that I'm an Einikel from the Maral Prague, although Maral Prague had many, many Einiklas. Is that yahrzeit candle still on up there? Is the yahrzeit candle still lit? Up high where the... Is it? It went out in the middle. Bring me a lighter. I'll light it again. The little Laban of B'Tsalem in Prague. So some friends of mine went on a trip to Europe with my old Rebbe from high school, Moshe Weinberger. He was talking about the Kedusha in Maral Prague. He said he's a tzaddik that he couldn't understand. Valentina Kappel. Hey, here. Just ask him on the Kappel. Okay, he's got ketchup and fries. The level of holiness in Maral Prague. Rabbi Weinberger was saying that it's unimaginable. We can't be teufus what it means. What a holy person Maral Prague was. I remember being in Prague, being by the kever of Maral Prague, and the experience was mamish. It was otherworldly. Like my wife said the same thing when we were there by Maral Prague, by the Heilige Zayde in Maral Prague. You want soup? You want chicken nuggets? Yeah. No, just French fries? Yeah. I remember it felt like I was in a portal. It felt like I was in another dimension, really, just for those moments. Picture can't capture that experience there by the Heilige Zayde in Maral Prague. And the other interesting thing was when we visited Daltnoy Shul, when it's just open as a museum, you felt one energy. A few of the chevra who were there when I was there with my wife a number of years ago, you felt one level of energy. But when you davened there was a whole nother energy. The schus of the Maral Prague the ikar was his Torah. The main thing was his learning, his devotion. He was there for the Klal Yisrael. He was a great genius, both in Milad Shmaya and Milad Alma. Recognized there's only one God. And the whole world, all the worlds were made by one God. And so therefore, both things that we call holy and things that we call secular are all godly. the construct of holiness versus learning in this form of the morale, learning today some of these inyanim. What does this mean in the Beragoyla? Explaining, for example, we could talk about the question whether or not the Heilige Zayd and the Maral was made the Golem. People always talk about the story, all the legends of the Maral and the Golem. I remember when I was there in Prague, another Einikol of the Maral was Niklasberger Rebbe, Shlita, Mechalevich, so from Muncie, and discussing this question. He said he remembered a number of years ago that there was Prague with the Goylem were all made up by there was a Chassidish Rebbe from Canada who was actually friendly with Rav Kook, interestingly enough, Rabbi Rosenberg, and he was a very prolific author, Rabbi, and he composed many stories of the Golem and the Maral, published them in Yiddish. For the most part, the stories that Rabbi wrote were fiction, but there are several authentic stories, and the Niklasberger brings out about our Zayd and Maral. That he, for example, there are minhagim, the Altner Shul, that are related to stories of the Golem. And it also, Nicholas brings as a proof, more or less, or as evidence that whether or not the stories were true, but the historical fact that the Maral made a Golem was brought in the Bnei Yissaschar, when the Bnei Yissaschar would quote from Maral Prague, he said that the Maral Prague was mishtamish b'seif Yitzira. And so, whatever that means, mishtamish b'seif Yitzira, we know if you learn Seif Yitzira, you don't see plainly what it means to make a goal of this and that. But from the Perushim, there is you can find in Yonim on how to accomplish something like this. But I think really we have to understand something fundamental. And where does a koyach come like this to be able to accomplish something like that? We see in Chazal already, that they made a man, they would make animals and eat them Erev Shabbos. They'd make cows and shech them. Whole question whether a man who was made by Hilchas Yitzira counts for a minyan. There's a question whether the animals made by Hilchas Yitzira, they need shechita. These are things that Chazal deal with as authentic questions. And so, for the most part, pious Orthodox Jews believe that such a thing could be. The question is, was it particular that he had many stories of people making golems. Barbanel, if I'm not mistaken. With this being said, the word golem, it's not really the proper word, but that's how we call it. The word golem means like an unformed. Yeah. Appears in the Chazal, and only appears once really in Tanakh. It says "Ro Golmi," that God, David said that God saw my unformed embryonic form. But The idea of making a man, or making animals, or making people with Hilchos Yitzira, we have to understand something totally different. This being also the birthday of Baal Shem HaKodesh. Baal Shem Tov taught, Shvisi Hashem L'negdi Somid, the letters of God's name, and visualize the name of God, and see the name of God before our eyes. But the deeper level, Baal Shem Tov understands and teaches, the word Shvisi means Shtashvus, means equanimity. And so therefore, again, like we said before, if there's only one God, the whole universe, and all the universes, all the worlds are in a state of unity. And this concept of this unity means, which is difficult for us as human beings who are in a physical state and sometimes disconnected from our soul. And still the soul itself is only merely a creation of God. No different really in many ways than the body. It's merely a creation. But all being said, all of creation is filled with that glory of God. All of creation is filled with that glory of God. The way the Piaseczner brings it is that we could imagine cups are filled with water, right? That creation are kelim mole or, that they are vessels, utensils, cups, whatever, filled with light, the light of God. But then he says the doifnei kelim, the actual walls of the vessels themselves, are also made of that light. This is somewhat different than how certain Eastern traditions teach of pantheism, because pantheism would imagine that that's all there is. The teachings of the Baal Shem Tov bring out that we are nothing in the ultimate light of the Ein Sof, of the infinite nature of God, and yet God, we are made out of God, essentially, because nothing really exists other than God. All existence is unified in that way. With that being said, this concept of equanimity, the way the Baal Shem Tov teaches, would mean that there should be no difference to us between hot and cold, sweet and bitter, so forth, light and dark. It's all one. It's all unity. And so too, he says, it's all truly natural. There's the Seder, there's the order of creation, but sometimes things go outside of the order. More and more quantum physics are coming to prove that this is scientifically true, that there is a grand connection throughout the universe of all matter and all energy, and that there are hidden worlds, antimatter, other dimensions, and so forth, that are all unified. Slowly but surely, science is coming to this truth. And so the observable universe is often only how it is while it's being observed, and not when it's not being observed. Furthermore, we have to recognize that quite often that we have to go is within us and not outside. But the concept of simcha, which figures so prominently in this week's Sedra, it really stands out in the middle of the Tochacha, where it says that all of the curses come because you didn't serve the Lord your God with joy and a good heart. Simcha b'tuv levav. Chazal say, Gemara in Erech and Yud Aleph, says that's the koich and negina, the power of music, song, music, bring us to this level of joy. And if we fail to serve God with music, we're missing out on something. There's the music of our soul. There's the music of the universe. And how simcha is so fundamental to accomplishing anything. In a practical sense, the morale brings that if you're not passionate about something, you're not going to do it. Or you're not going to do it for very long. Excuse me for a moment, I'm going to get next course of my meal, but really I have to get going to Dominion. Morale brings also the concept of zugos. Why is there a curse in duality? Why do we seek to avoid even numbers in the Jewish tradition whenever possible? It's to remind us of that lesson of unity. I remember when I was Reverend Richmond, I met a student at Virginia Commonwealth University who was one of the few Shomer Torah mitzvahs there in the college. He would always ride a unicycle. We asked, why you ride the unicycle? He said, to remind me of the unity. And so that's the lesson that we have to internalize, is the unity of God. Doesn't matter what we're engaging in. To find that joy no matter what, and it's very hard. It's not easy in life. That's the challenge of life, is to find that joy even when things are difficult.
Mommy. Let me know when you're done.
You get to shul. Anybody have a song? Shavisi Hashem or Splendor Nigam. Oy Shavisi Hashem V'negdi Somid Ki Mimini Ba'alemot. Actually, we should sing that psalm that's traditional, the Yortzeit Suda. Psalm 16. Let's find Psalm 16. Nichtam le David Shamreini Yael Kichu Sisivach Mart Ladoinoi Adoinoi Oto Toivosi Bal Olecho Liktoishim asher buretzaimo v'hadirai kol chefzivam Yebi atzvay samachimor v'alasik Niskim v'dam v'asesh moisam als v'sai Ari noy menos chelki v'choisi atatoy mich goyroli Chavolim naflu libani mimafnach l'shofer alai. Vorach sadi noya shitzuni aflei lois yisrini chilyoisai. Shavisi adinoi lenegdi somid. Ki mi ni bahalemait. L'chain sumach libi vayugel kvoidi. Af besuri yesh koin lo vetach. Ki lois hazoiv navshi l'shol. Lois ten chasid chaloris shachas. Todi aini orechaim soivis machos. Es penachani mois. B'minchad netzach. Mamish, that psalm has all the lessons that we have to do. I'm sorry I have to go. I have to go to shul. I have some things to take care of. The schus of the Heilige Gezayt and Maramah Prague should all be gebenched. Thank you so much for joining us. The schus of Al Shem Kodesh. We should be walking in their ways. It's not enough just to know that people existed. We have to learn what they taught and go in their ways. So have a good gebenched year. Ksivich Simateva. Thank you for joining us.